What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So again, I got one by Mick Hoops Talks, and yeah, this is Caitlin Clark. Sh- she had another double double, but a loss to the Las Vegas Aces. So let's hear Mick out.
I think it's time we just admit the Fever kind of suck. I think it's time we just admit the Fever kind of suck. We're gonna be honest here. We're gonna be honest on this channel. A pretty bad game from Caitlin Clark. A really good first half from Caitlin. A really bad quarter for Caitlin, and down the stretch, it was embarrassing for the rest of this team. It was embarrassing for the rest of this team because again, like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was a really poor second half from Caitlin, but at least she tried down the stretch. At least she tried. At least she tried. And from every other player on this team, there was no effort. And by the way, like Caitlin threw that game away, but at least she tried to pull it back. The rest of the team, as soon as they went on a run, they just gave up. They just gave up. And like we had AJ Wilson having a stinker, an absolute stinker through three quarters, and still couldn't get the win. A double-digit lead. And then you know what? You know what happens whenever you have a double-digit lead? It's Bree Turner time. It's Bree Turner time. And it wasn't like it was anything crazy. Like a -4 run. A -4 run in 3 minutes on the floor. But it was while everything was flowing. Everything was flowing. Caitlin, stop shooting the ball from three. Just drive to the basket. Caitlin Clark was 6 for 10 inside the three-point line. And when she's aggressive, things go well. Stop shooting the three ball. Shoot 3 to 4 a game. Do what you did last year. Stop shooting the three ball. And again, look, 2 to 3 of those were late second, were like shot clock heaves, and one was at the very end of the game trying to cut the lead from 8 to 5. So like it is what it is. But this team has collapsed with Caitlin. This team has collapsed without Caitlin. This team has collapsed with Caitlin playing well. This team has collapsed with Caitlin playing bad. This team has collapsed against good teams. This team has collapsed against bad teams like the Aces. This team has collapsed against G League teams like the Golden State Valkyries. This team has no backbone. This team has no grit. This team has no determination. This team has no effort. This team has a good defensive rating because they play slow down basketball. And the slower tempo you play at, the better your defensive net rating is going to be. 11.
Yeah, this is the Fever should not be 6 and 7 right now. I'm like sitting here going, what the hell's going on here? And even if I fell asleep because I woke up late for that game, yeah, second half we were leading, and then I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, the Aces just took it to them, and I'm like, yeah, and Asia Wilson, 3 quarters, nothing. Now she finishes with what, 24 points?
Fast break points against a team as slow as the Aces is unacceptable. If you guys agree, subscribe. We are trying to hit 51.5K by the end of the day. The first half of this game was great. The Fever were killing it. They were killing it early. The Aaliyah Boston Caitlin pick and roll was exceptional. Caitlin Clark had 8 assists she had 7 assists through the first quarter and a half of that game.
Mm-hmm.
She had 6 assists in the first 6 minutes of the game. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. The Aaliyah Boston Caitlin Clark pick and roll was fantastic. Aaliyah Boston had 18 first half points. And in the third quarter, they started off going to the CC Aaliyah Boston pick and roll as well. And they just went away from it. They went away from the pick and roll because they wanted to go to more Lexi Hull handoffs with Natasha Howard. Like, idiotic. It's idiotic. Like, regardless of how the game's played. Like, every single player on the floor is at blame for that game. Sophie Cunningham, non-existent. Bree Turner just sucks at basketball. Sid Colson, I actually thought Sid Colson was really good in the first half as well. They got a bit of a lead without Caitlin. Sid Colson was fantastic in the first half. She was absolutely fantastic. Kelsey Mitchell decided she only wanted to play basketball in the fourth quarter, which is fine. She was actually really good in the fourth. Aaliyah Boston didn't show up in the fourth quarter. Natasha Howard, I don't even know what Natasha Howard does most of the time. But at the end of the day, It's a bad team. It's a bad team. It's a bad team. They don't play a style of play to suit Caitlin Clark. And I mean this when I say this. If you're going to play slow down basketball, I said this a year ago, by the way, Caitlin Clark is better on the bench than she is at the 2. She is better on the bench than she is a shooting guard. Caitlin Clark's 3-point shots come, and people are like, oh, she needs rhythm. Her 3-point shots come in bunches. And she might shoot 6 in a game, but those 6 could be in like 5 possessions. Or could be in like 5 of them could be in 5 possessions in a row, and she can make 3 of them. That's the way Caitlin Clark is. They're trying to turn Caitlin Clark into a normal basketball player is not going to work because Caitlin's been playing a certain way her entire life. And it's fine. If this team does not believe that Caitlin's good enough to play like that, that's actually fine. That's fine. Because if they want Caitlin to play this way, this specific way, and they don't believe the Caitlin Clark system is going to win, that's fine. Just trade her. Trade her. It is more beneficial for the league that Caitlin's allowed to play her game than it is for your merchandise. You could get an under-the-table deal from the league to pay you $100 million to give Caitlin Clark to the Phoenix Mercury, to give Caitlin Clark to Nate Tibbetts, who will play a system. The system that they play with Alyssa Thomas, imagine that system with Caitlin Clark. That system with Caitlin Clark would be crazy. It would be absolutely crazy. But like, I mean, young guards making game-losing turnovers. Paige Beckers almost did it right there. It happens. But there were 3 back-to-back-to-back possessions that Caitlin Clark turned the ball over, which just isn't good enough. Which just is not good enough. Back-to-back-to-back possessions in the 4th quarter, she turned the ball over. First half, Caitlin missed shots. It is what it is. She was fantastic. I've always said this. When the Caitlin Clark system is unstoppable, when this team gets out and runs, they are unstoppable. They're absolutely unstoppable when they get out and run. As we saw in the first half, even when Caitlin's bad, get out and running, making quick reads, they're great.
Another thing is I'm just wondering, why is Stephanie White taking these games off? Is there something going on? Because I don't know if that's going to have an effect. And then, because are we going to revert to what we did last year? Right now, last year's looking much better. And I'm happy they got Stephanie White, but I'm just trying to wonder what was our record with sides, but I'm not too big on Christie's sides. But I'm like, Stephanie White, what's going on? I mean, 6 and 7, we should not be, again, as I said, 6 and 7 right now. I'm lost. Hey, we had it for 2-3 quarters and then boom, collapse.
But there's no more actions. Them running is by accident. Their running is no longer a tactic. Their running is by accident. Their tactic is this motion offense. And they're not going to win. They're not going to win. They have got nothing. This team has got nothing. This team's bad. This team's bad. And look, the good thing is that Caitlin Clark is 23 years old. I said this a year ago. I said it a year ago. Aaliyah Boston underestimated the offseason. She underestimated the offseason coming from her rookie year to her second year. Caitlin Clark bulked up too much. Something's wrong. There's something wrong with her. And for people saying she's regressed on last year, yeah. For people saying, I'm being called this negative. I've been called an idiot. I'm being called this negative fan for saying she's not top 5 in MVP voting. Are we watching the same game? Caitlin Clark should not be on any media people's all-star votes. On merit. On merit. She shouldn't be. We can be honest. She shouldn't be. And that's not saying she's been bad. That's saying that Alicia Gray has been better than her. That's saying that Kelsey Plum has been at least an equivalent to her. That's saying that Sabrina's been better than her on the year. It's been saying that Alyssa Thomas, she's a forward, but AT's been better than her on the year. That's fine. And it's fine to admit that. It's fine to admit that. But at the end of the day, this team collapses against anybody. They collapse against everybody. And they've collapsed today. They've collapsed in other games. They collapse with Caitlin. They collapse without Caitlin. They collapse against good teams. They collapse against bad teams. They collapse against everybody. This team are choke artists, for lack of a better word. For everyone being like, oh, they're like a few possessions off being a certain thing. So are the Dallas Wings. So are the Dallas Wings. This team sucks. This team sucks. Team legitimately sucks. And by the way, even if Caitlin Clark hit her normal 3-point percentage, they weren't winning this game. Caitlin Clark did not lose this game because they missed shots. They lost this game because Caitlin Clark made 3 brain-dead turnovers in a row. Bree Turner saw the floor. That was a big reason why they lost it. And again, when things are going bad in important stages of the game, Aaliyah Boston sits on the bench. That's 2 games in a row they have lost by Aaliyah's missed rotations. They suck. The Fever suck. Like, the Fever are the 7th best team in the WNBA, and that is maybe gassing it. And they're 7th. They're 7th. They suck. They suck. We are 33. We are a third of the way through the season. We are a third of the way through the season. I think it's time we just admit the Fever.
Yep. So, okay. So 1/3 of the season. Hopefully, we're not having this discussion at the end of the year. Hopefully, the Fever are not out of the playoffs. Hopefully, Stephanie White and the Fever will figure it out. That's what I'm praying for. Of course, yeah. They haven't handled a lot of games. They've lost 3 or 4 games. About 3 or 4. I mean, we shouldn't be 6 and 7. We should be like 9 and 3 right now, or 10 and 3 right now. So, well, we'll have to figure it out. If they don't figure it out, well, we know what kind of season it'll be. So, yeah. All right, and shout out to Mick's Talks Hoops. And if any of you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKL special. Help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video.